What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about extraterrestrial life. Do aliens exist out there? And the first thing I found out when asking a lot of people about this question and seeing their responses, and also watching the average Joe answer these sort of questions online, I realized that a lot of people seem to have no clue, no idea, and they're very, for lack of a better term, stupid and don't understand what the heck's going on. Is this their fault? No. Sometimes they're just uneducated and they don't know any better. However, I think the first thing that you should know is that it's very ignorant and egotistical to think that we are the center of the universe. We're so awesome. And I think it's the most stupidest thing I've experienced is one person just looking at me like I was a freaking weirdo for even talking about this stuff. First and foremost, that's very ignorant. And this was a person who later followed up by responding that, oh, there's no way there's aliens out there. I'd like to think that we're the only ones and we're the best, and everything revolves around us. And then when I responded in kind, saying something like, well, isn't that sort of egotistical mindset what has sort of prevented science from progressing for so long? Like, if you look at that time period where everyone thought all the planets revolved around the Earth and not around the sun, that caused a lot of trouble and debate and problems because everyone thought that we were the center of the earth and everything revolved around us and we were so amazing. And she responded in kind with, well, doesn't everything revolve around us? Doesn't the sun revolve around us? Which blew my mind because this was a college student. Anyhow, let's get started with this topic. First and foremost, though, most people do not realize the sheer size and sheer amount of other planets out there. Just planets, let alone stars out there. I mean, okay, there's probably more planets than stars out there, but the sheer amount of stars or planets out there compared to our one little Earth with our planets and our little sun, that in itself should shed some light on how freaking huge the whole place is and how insignificant we are. And literally, like, that's the first thing in mind. A lot of people are just very egotistical. They're in their own heads. They think whatever they're doing is the most important thing in the world. That McDonald's order that the cashier got wrong, or a lot of these females out there, they're like, oh yeah, I'm so awesome. And you talk to them and they think they're like the center of the universe, and their whole life is like around like this small little thing in this small little countryside or this small little city, and that's their lifestyle, and they think it's so amazing. But when in reality, like, our planet is so insignificant, like we're so irrelevant compared to the sheer size of the universe and what's going on. But again, that's just one perspective. Let me elaborate by telling you guys a rough approximation. You know, estimates vary depending on what expert is talking about it. But as of currently, and the size is still increasing, but as of currently, I have this article pulled up. Let me tell you, we are one star in a galaxy. A galaxy consists of many, many stars. And our galaxy, the Milky Way, contains roughly 400 billion stars. That's more people, that's more stars than people on this earth by roughly 100-fold. Get that in your mind. I still don't think you understand how much just 1 billion is, let alone 400 billion. Let me put it to you this way. I did out the math quite a while ago, but let me put it to you this way. From the moment you were born to the moment you die, if you could meet one person on this earth per second, you will not be able to meet every single person on this earth. So that's just a rough approximation. Let me continue with the sheer amount. Okay, so if you guys don't know what a galaxy is, apparently a lot of people are uneducated. They have no idea. A galaxy is a system containing stars and other stuff like stellar remnants, dust, and other such things. But the point is that it houses quite a lot of stars. And there's different ranges for sizes of galaxies, from dwarf, which is as few as 10 million stars, to giants with 100 trillion stars. So in our galaxy alone, there's that many stars, more stars than people in this earth. And probably all those stars have planets revolving around them, which all have the chance of producing a Goldilocks scenario, which is what our Earth is sort of considered, where it's not too hot, not too cold, and everything is just right to produce life. And we haven't even gotten to the fact that the universe houses many, many galaxies. And some galaxies are much, much bigger than the Milky Way. So let's just break it down. How many galaxies are there which house around 400 billion stars up to 100 trillion stars? Estimates believe that there are 170 billion galaxies roughly in the observable universe. The observable universe. So potentially there's more out there that we can't capture with our satellites and with our estimates, which is astounding. So 170 billion of up to maybe 500, 800 billion stars. Think about that. You get approximately 10 to the 24th stars out there. That's 24 zeros, roughly a septillion stars, many more stars than the national debt, many more stars than the amount of burgers served by McDonald's, many more stars than the amount of people on Earth. By the way, the amount of bacteria on one single human individual is also a tremendous amount. It's also like some like 20 zeros or something like that. So that in itself is kind of screwed up, like the amount. So these orders of magnitude are just like it blows your mind, and a lot of people don't even realize that size. Now, before I continue, let me explain what a light year is. It is the amount of distance light can travel in a year. Think about it. Light is the fastest thing that we know of, and it can travel, the amount of time it can travel in a year. Think about that. So, with that in mind, it would take 4 light years roughly to get to the nearest star. First off, we don't have a chance of traveling at that sort of speed, but think about that. Like, literally, the distance away is astounding, and potentially, for various reasons, it may be better because it's so far away. So, without further ado, I'm just going to add one last fact, and then I'm going to get on to my opinion on extraterrestrial life. So, the Milky Way spans 100,000 light years approximately across. It's an astounding distance, and rough estimates of the universe estimated to be roughly at least 13.8 billion light years away from us in all directions. Think about the size of that. So here's my opinion on that, and there's a film that supports this. There's a quote at the end of the film and at the start of the film. The film's called Contact. It's also a science fiction film of establishing contact with extraterrestrial life. But think about it like this. The quote went something along the lines of this. Well, if there isn't extraterrestrial life out there, that's an awful waste of space. The point being is that it's emphasizing the sheer amount of probability. Like, think about it this way. Even if you have a 1 in a million chance of winning the lottery, what if you had all the lottery tickets that were ever issued? Then you're guaranteed to win. It's the same sort of concept. It's the fact that any probability of it occurring, given the amount of chances you have, it's almost guaranteed now at this point. And so I kind of view this whole sort of system like a sort of probability scheme where every star is another chance. And the goal of each star is to produce, in a sense, habitable life, like an organism. And once that occurs, you're good. But the chances of this may be very, very small. However, given the sheer amount of stars out there, like it completely changes everything. There's something called a Drake's equation, which pretty much summarizes this whole concept. However, the probability, the chances are stacked. So there's a chance that a planet will be just right in temperature to create the compounds and nutrients required for habitable life or self-sustaining life. And then there's another layer on there, that which multiplies the chances, making it even harder. And that's the chances that these compounds will interact in a way for that life to form. And then from there, chances that this life will evolve to a sustainable form. And then you keep going on and on until you get to the chances of this life evolving to a self-intelligent form. And that's where we're at. And so we're that sort of Goldilocks planet, which is not too hot, not too cold, just right for everything to evolve perfectly. Who knows how many solar systems, how many stars, with planets orbiting them, have failed in this sort of sense. And I say failed with quotes because to ascribe a star to be created for this purpose alone is just an opinion. It's just, maybe it's just how it is. It wasn't the purpose or intention. But regardless, maybe we have a million, we have to go through a million or a billion failed stars before we get to one where there's where something like us comes about. Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all given the sheer amount of stars out there. Septillions of stars. That's 24 zeros. Astounding. So there's definitely life out there, in my opinion, based off these numbers. Now, why haven't they contacted us? Why haven't they done anything with us? Now, that's a whole video in itself. But in my opinion, I think, first off, the distances required to do so, the energy required, all that technology required just to travel to the closest star requires a tremendous amount of advanced technology beyond where we are right now. And that begs the question, like, there's still so much potential out there for us as a civilization to grow. Why would anyone who has created that technology want to even waste the effort or energy to come to heathens like us? Because to them, we're like these freaking Native American Indians who are still worshiping freaking bones of cattle we've hunted. You get the idea? Like we're pretty much like ants to them. Michio Kaku, who is a physicist, creates a perfect analogy for this. Roughly, he says something like this. Imagine that you are on a superhighway and you're driving your car, and you see a little anthill on the road. Are you going to stop the car, get off, talk to the ants, and say, "Look, I bring you technology, I bring you healthcare, I bring you all these advances to cure all your illnesses and diseases"? Or are you just going to squish a few? And that was his quote. And my response is like, I would probably not even bother to drive off the road and squish a few, let alone would I even notice those ants. And if I notice, would I even care enough? Because I have so much more important stuff to do. So in the same sense, sure, maybe these aliens have noticed our planet, maybe they haven't, but even if they did, there's no reason they would even care to come visit. And if they did, who's to say that they would help us? Like, why would they? They would just like freaking maybe mess around with us a bit. And so you get the point. More so than that though, think about it like this. If we are like this sort of primitive species, and we are far down the line, and there's so many billions of other civilizations of varying levels of advanced technology out there, there's probably such a wide variety of potentially different species, different self-intelligent aliens out there who probably don't look anything like us, and they're all doing their own important stuff. So there's such a wide variety of different potential civilizations out there. Maybe all of the ones depicted in our films may exist in terms of how their civilization is working out. Such as in Independence Day, where in that film, the alien civilization functioned somewhat like a parasite. And one could argue our human species is pretty much like a parasite, where we come to one area, we take all the resources and use them all up, and then we're screwed, so we have to move to another area. Not exactly in the fact that there are some good-hearted humans out there who are trying to make a difference, but you get the idea. So in the film, basically, they've exhausted all their resources on their planet, so they just keep hopping from star to star until they find one where the civilization is still developing, and they just wipe them out and then steal all their resources and then move on again. And so they function like a parasite on a much larger scale than an actual parasite does on our planet. And that's one possible type of civilization. Then there's others that are doing crazy stuff on intergalactic levels. Maybe, like, imagine it. Rather than what our government may do, where they're organizing all these different things between states, they're doing it on a galaxy level. We're organizing things between different planets and so forth. And it's amazing how the human mind works and how creative we are. And a lot of these points have already been addressed and depicted in science fiction TV shows or films. It's crazy. And so that's all I wanted to say in a nutshell. It's astounding, and it's very humbling to know that right now, as we're talking, they're probably potentially doing something out there as we speak. Maybe there's some alien out there on some planet light years away who's also doing his own alien form of vlogging or vlogging on their own form of video capturing device, talking about something similar. Who knows? And I really think it's crazy because, like, think about it. Look at us. Look how freaking bizarre and strange we are. Stepping out of the human perspective, like, think of how freaking screwed up we are to aliens. We're these strange, hairless creatures with these strange appendages, strange fingers on our hands. We're just freaking weird things. If any alien saw us, they'd be like, oh my goodness, kill it before it lays eggs. and we're just attracted to the most strange, bizarre things. Females, like, think about it. There's just two genders, and the females have these two large lumps of fat on their chest, and the males are just tremendously attracted to those two large lumps. The fatter the lumps, the better. It's so bizarre, and at the end of the day, like, it's astounding because I can see it from that perspective, and at the same time, because I'm a male of the species, I can also see it from the perspective of I can understand why I'm attracted to that sort of thing. It's just very attractive to me. Why? I think it's just genetics, but it's bizarre looking at it from an objective view. So yeah, ladies, I love your breasts. It's bizarre, but at the same time, it's very strange. You know, like if you literally look at a naked human, male or female, we are the most bizarre, strange creatures out there. Like, look how we talk and interact. Like, our own existence almost confirms even more peculiar stuff out there in the universe that probably me and you watching this may never experience before the time we die. And that brings us to another topic of freaking potentially there are a lot of species out there or civilizations who, despite their hardest efforts, never make it to that level where they're self-sustaining or able to survive. And Michio Kaku also talks about this. Perhaps one day we advance to that level and we're just traveling across different star systems and we see these planets that have failed. Planets that have, you see remnants of technology just floating about the planet, but the whole planet's dead because of nuclear war or failing to achieve some sort of self-sustaining resource creator before they ran out of food and consumed all their resources. Multiple things like this, like who knows? Or maybe they tried everything they could, but they could not achieve technology to escape their star system before the star collapsed or the star blew out their planet because stars age too. And you get the point. So it's all these things, and who's to say we're going to make it to that extent either. And another interesting point, which I think is very egotistical and highly probabilistically unlikely, but still there's a chance out there, we are the first. Like, someone's got to be number one. That's one reasoning behind it. Someone's got to be the first one. So perhaps we are the first, and we will be the one to get to the most advanced technology first as a sentient, intelligent species. Because someone's got to be number one. Someone's got to be the second, the third species out there. So maybe we are the first species out there. We're probably not the last, and we're at the forefront of getting to that point where we're flying across spaceships across different galaxies and stuff. But again, that's a very egotistical thing to think, and it's probabilistically not likely. We're probably around the middle or end. We're probably lagging the pack in terms of technological advances. And at the end of the day, though, someone's got to be the first. It's probably not us, though. They're probably out there already. And it's very interesting, though. It's like they're literally potentially out there, like doing stuff as we speak. I used to think to myself, back when I used to think on a microscopic level, which isn't that microscopic, but I was like, you know what? Celebrities aren't that crazy. They're not some goddess or god, or they're not something that's on a completely different class or level than us. They're human beings just like us. And believe it or not, as I'm talking and breathing and sleeping, they are walking the same earth as I am and doing stuff as I am as I speak. Literally, as I'm speaking right now, they're alive, living the same earth as I am, just doing something else. They may be playing tennis, they may be doing drugs, they may be making music or recording music out there. but they're people just like me, doing stuff just like me, on the same earth that I walk. And that each time I said that to myself, it really just humbled myself, and it's just like, holy crap, Barack Obama is literally doing something right now. He exists right now, somewhere on this planet. And that it's just really humbling to me. I don't know if I expressed that clear enough to you. But now it's like I can apply that same thing. It's like, as we speak, as I am speaking, they are literally, potentially, aliens out there who are self-intelligent, doing crazy stuff out there. There may be different levels of progression. Some may be very close to our level, and there's probably some weird alien who looks nothing like a human doing his own form of vlogging on his planet to upload to his own form of YouTube, on his form of the internet, his alien form. Which is just crazy to me, and shout outs to that guy. I'll probably never see you before I die or interact with you. Boo-hoo. Continue vlogging. Stop talking about me. Anyhow, though, the last point, though, is another dimension that a lot of people fail to realize, and that is time. Think about it. There have probably been billions of stars created before ours was, thus allowing for billions, if not trillions, of years of time as an advantage before we started. And there's billions and trillions of years to come. So when you add in time to an equation of probability, it just increases the chances that something will happen. Even the planets or star systems that have yet to produce life still have all this potential given all that time that they have to produce life. So it's like another dimension to the chances that they exist. And that's roughly all I want to say in a nutshell. I know it's 30 minutes long, but I really wanted to get everything out. I feel like I expressed what I want to say fairly clearly, but not optimally, but still, I would say at 80%, which is pretty good. And I feel like everything I said was important, save for a few small tidbits. So I don't feel it would be justice cutting this down to 5 minutes. And please let me know in the comments below if you watched this whole thing, because I put a lot of effort into it, and it just, it sucks really bad when people only watch like 1% of it before clicking away. And finally, this video was inspired by the topic, of course, but also the plain ignorance that I experienced from one individual particularly, but generally overall from the people I have talked to about this. That one individual, like I mentioned at the start, was just very ignorant, very arrogant, and literally just was very egotistical and somewhat ignorant about all concepts of this. You could very well tell that that individual lived in a very microscopic world, and it's not completely their fault, because it's not like you're born and shown how the entire universe before you. You sort of just accept the world that is presented to you, and you take it for what it is, and you take that as what it was. But regardless, though, it was just a very egotistical mindset, thinking that I want us to be the only ones. I don't realize how large how many planets or stars there was. I think that we are one of hundreds out there. I think that we are the best as a species, and I'm the best as a species. It was just on many fronts coming from the wrong perspective. And I guess what spurred me the strongest was just how she reacted to my first initial presentation of the question to her. It was like, how dare you even think about that? What a weirdo you are for even thinking about that. In fact, thinking back, she actually, as soon as she heard the question, she gave that, oh, this guy's a weirdo reaction, and then she didn't answer it. I knew she heard it, but she didn't answer, and she just like walked off like, huh, this guy's weird. And very quickly afterwards, when I had more time, I went back up and said, you heard me, bitch. No, I didn't say bitch, but you heard what I said. And it was more so for myself, just to see how, just because like it irked me a bit. And again, I got that weird old question like, huh, look at this kid, aliens, what a weirdo. And I got um, very shallow responses and perspectives from her. Bless her heart. But, you know, from her views on just a lot of things regarding science, it was just very, very, very egotistical and simplistic and wrong and skewed. But you can't always blame people. It's not like they're born out of the womb thinking these things. Anyhow, as always, share this video if you liked it with someone you think would benefit from this. And I will see you in my next video. As always, like, favorite, share, and comment below if you watch this whole thing. And subscribe to this video, and I will see you in my next video. Remember, subscribing is free, and peace.